Hey, welcome to the Lormer home, and we're just excited to have you here with us. And we're going to be talking about what we chatted at church about regarding the vow of pursuit. And hey, babe, I thought it'd be kind of good they kind of heard me. So let's hear from you a little bit. I mean, what does it mean for you and I to pursue each other? Give some specifics. What does that look like?
For us, I would say I've kind of figured out over the years, by trial and error, that making what's really important to you important to me, that speaks love to you. That shows prioritizing to you, right?
Right on. Love that. Can you give some specifics?
Like, whenever you're speaking, you love me being there on the front row, even though I do absolutely nothing but smile. You know, for some reason you love that, and so I try to do that. Nebraska football. I mean, I like Nebraska football, but because you love Nebraska football, I love Nebraska football. And what else? And you just like me being with you. You've been that way since we were dating. You just liked hanging out. You didn't have to be doing anything specific. So sometimes I'm thinking this is not practical, something needs to be happening, but for you, it's just being together. So I know that that's important to you.
Right on. So. You know, and it's kind of like, for me, I have to say to myself, it's not necessarily just going to happen. I mean, it's awesome when pursuit is natural, but I have to be real intentional for me personally. So I have to engage and keep you, get this, I keep you on my mind throughout the day. That's something specific I do. I know it.
I was also thinking of something else. Sometimes moments come up that you aren't expecting, and like sometimes you'll just suddenly start sharing all this stuff, start gushing something out, you know, about something that's heavy on your heart, kind of out of the blue, and I will stop what I'm doing because I'm thinking, whoa, this is a moment that doesn't happen all the time, you know, take advantage of it. So seize the moment. I try to do that too.
Seize the day. Wow, I like it. Seize the moment. Speaking of the moment, babe, one thing I kind of thought through with us is that it's real important for me to be present. That's one way I pursue you, because, well, it's okay, just being with you is a big deal to me. I mean, you don't want me just to be with you. You want me to be with you.
No, it doesn't move me when you can just repeat what I said.
Yeah.
But your eyeballs are like...
Hey. Hawk moments, they do happen, but I've gotten better, haven't I? Maybe not.
You work really hard.
That was hard.
But I love your eye contact. That speaks volumes.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. I work really hard. Just
right.
Eye contact. Like right now, I'm looking in your eyes.
Like
you
sometimes
have gorgeous
if I
eyes.
need to talk...
I love you because of your eyes, by the way.
Sometimes if I need to talk to you, you'll turn off the television because you know it distracts you, and you know how much it blesses me when you're actually looking at me if I'm telling you something.
Something else I do to pursue you is that when I get home, the first thing I do is not turn on the TV. It's not read the newspaper. It's not get on the internet. I try to just spend a few minutes talking to you and asking you about your day, and that means a lot to you.
Yes, it does.
And not to come in the house talking on my cell phone.
Yes, that's huge. That's a new one that he just learned.
Yeah, I'm a work in progress, guys. So there's a hope for you. Trust me. Be patient with yourself. I mean, spouses, be patient with each other as you keep working on this, pursuing each other. It's such a big deal.
Right.
Now, babe, I know some people have this mindset because we're in the ministry and we're, you know, generally people see us, we look in love, right? And we are in love. And maybe they have this stereotype that we never go through any rough patches. Let me just ask you, I mean, this is a chance to be real vulnerable with everybody. I mean, have we ever gone through a rough patch?
Lots.
Lots.
Well, that's just life.
Like 2 or 3 more? Maybe.
You can't be married 30 years and not have rough patches. You can't even be married 5 years and not have rough patches.
That's so true.
I mean, it comes with the territory. So yeah, absolutely, we have had lots, and
that's good.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I was just thinking here with that, it's going to happen.
Right.
I don't care how good the dynamics.
Plan on it.
How much chemistry? There's still going to be rough patches. And,
right.
And babe, how have the vow of priority and the vow of pursuit helped us through those rough patches? Can you give examples of maybe how that's helped us?
Yeah, I think we had to learn this a little bit the hard way, so it was rougher at the beginning, but not when something came up that was a difficulty for us, it's easy to not deal with it because dealing with it gets kind of messy and emotional, and it's easier just to kind of ignore it and keep going through the motions and do your responsibilities because that seems easier at the time. But in the long run, it's much messier. So one of the things priority-wise is we've learned to deal with stuff right away.
One of the things I wrote down to myself is, and it kind of just echoes what you just said, you can't settle. You can't just assume it's going to be this way always. I just got to bear with it. Or I've heard some couples say, well, we'll just ignore it for the kids' sake. But you said something earlier that I thought was so good. What was that?
I said, don't ignore it for the kids' sake. Don't ignore it because it's going to blow up on your family later down the line.
Yeah. Something my mentor used to always say is that you reproduce who you are. And if you practice that in a home, though you may never say anything about it to your kids will eventually adopt that same mentality.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And I think for rough patches to ever get through a rough patch, you have to, like you just said, you got to be willing to identify it and bring it out in the open and expose it.
Yep.
And conflict resolution is a big deal in marriage. It's a big deal. So you got to be willing to go through some difficult times together.
Yeah, and you also have to be willing to put the energy towards, well, I want to say fixing it. I don't know if that's the right term.
It's a big theological term. That's great. Fix it.
Bringing solutions to the, to the difficulties, finding ways to deal with the challenges and stuff. You have to put energy towards it, purposeful energy towards it, or it won't happen.
So good. I remember someone saying energy begets energy.
He's my favorite preacher. I can't remember his name, but he's so cute.
Hey, I used the word naked as an acronym.
Yes, I know you
And
did.
how I talked about being vulnerable.
Yes.
And the A in naked was ask for help.
Right.
Okay.
I thought that was awesome, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Have we ever, I can answer this, but I think it'd be really cool coming from you. Have we ever asked for help?
Yeah.
For our marriage?
We have lots. From the beginning when we were dating, we did. From close friends, we would go to spiritual leaders that we respected highly for input just on our relationship. As as your marriage goes on, you hit different situations and circumstances and things that come up, and sometimes you don't know how to deal with things. And I've gone to friends, and by the way, I don't go to friends that just make it easy for me and tell me what I want to hear. I go to the friends that talk truth into my face.
By the way, I love that about you. I mean, because you have practiced that even from when we were dating. Because I could name on my hand probably the friends that you go to that are going to just deal truth to you. And I just love that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You. And I try to practice that as well.
What, putting truth in my face?
No. Going to friends that are going to love me enough.
Yes, to be honest.
Even if it means risking hurting my feelings.
Yep. If we go to people that we're being accountable to, other pastors. I also have gone more than once to a Christian counselor, which has been super helpful for me. It helps me get perspective. It helps me make truth a little bit clearer, so I can actually implement it in my life rather than keep reacting to belief systems that are incorrect. So
no, right on. Here's the thing. I think that I was a little naive about, but when you get married, you bring so much into the marriage that you didn't think was even in your life.
Yes,
but it surfaces in the marriage, and it can be stuff from your family.
In different times. Yeah. Yes. It doesn't just all come in one big tidal wave.
No, it'd be nice if it did and you dealt with it and you never had to wrestle with anything ever again.
I don't think I could take it.
Well, and maybe that's God's grace.
Yeah.
He lets us deal with it in increments or in seasons.
Yeah.
And I thank God for Christian counselors and men of God and women of God and friends that are willing to speak truth and have helped us get perspective in our marriage. Man, that's good. No, that's really good. Hey, babe, let me ask you this. What are some practical things that you do to purposely be vulnerable to moi?
Well, I'll tell you, but let me turn my technology over.
Okay.
There we go. I try to be really honest with how I'm feeling. Instead of stuffing it and reacting, I try to actually tell you what's going on. And you do a good job of doing that as well. It's super helpful.
That's really important, is questions, asking each other questions when they're talking. I've learned that sometimes for me personally, what you do with me when you ask me questions, I don't always know what I'm feeling.
Right.
But by your questions, by thinking out loud, it helps me get beyond the surface issue to maybe a root cause.
Right. The same thing happens to me. Yeah, I'll start talking about something and I'm just not sure where it's coming from. I'll start talking about just my responses and things I'm feeling, and it helps get to it sometimes.
Yeah, right on. That's so good, babe. That feelings are just crazy things, and it's hard to sometimes get handles on them unless you can talk about it. And that has been a big thing for me. Being vulnerable, that's a big deal. Is to try to get to the bottom of what's going on in my life and learn to express that to you.
Yeah, and that makes me feel close to you. That it also gives me a lot of grace and compassion towards you when you're going through a hard time, because if I know what's going on, I can adjust, to help you. If I don't know what's going on, I tend to take things really personal.
Yeah.
And be like,
I think it goes back to what we said earlier, though. If you are being vulnerable to me, I've got to be there. I mean, if I start getting distracted, if I allow myself to take a phone call,
you get the evil eye.
I get the look of reckoning. Babe, I said this last week, that all too often I tend to love people the way I want to be loved, and that can happen in a marriage too, unless you learn to love them the way they need to be loved or want to be loved. And it's the languages of love.
Yes.
It's almost like, if we're not careful, I could be speaking English and you speaking German, and we really never be on the same page. So we've got to learn how to connect with each other when it comes to communicating each other's value, our love, and our respect for one another. How do you do that with me? How have you learned the love languages in our relationship?
Well, I mean, just the information itself is super helpful. Then I just try to be intentional with that knowledge, because I know what your love languages are, and I have to remind myself all the time, because my default mode is to immediately start loving the way I like, which, my favorite thing is talking and talking and talking.
And how I love that. So I must come across kind of shallow, huh?
No, you're a deep guy.
What are my love languages?
Acts of service, when I do special little things for you, and then physical touch.
Yeah, yes.
You love it. You love it.
I do love it. But not necessarily always in a sexual way. I mean, don't get me wrong.
That wasn't.
But I mean, in a non-sexual way, physical touch is good.
Yeah, you're a very warm,
My whole family was huggy,
touchy
person. And that's one way I express love and enjoy love. And for you love quality time.
Yes,
That's
I do.
Big deal, and words of affirmation.
No phone, no hawks.
And I love to love you, and I love growing in this, because, here's the weird thing. We've been 29 years we've been married, and I think I'm still learning how to get better at that.
I think we will till we're in heaven.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because
that's good. So
being human.
It just kind of goes on that we just got to keep being willing to grow, right? And create a culture of improvement even in our marriage.
Right.
So
That's right.
We'll never be maybe perfect, but we can always get better.
Yes, we can.
That's great. That's awesome. And to keep giving energy to that. Okay, let me ask you this, Wendy, because this is something I know there are some people express to me, they'd like to hear this. What's your idea of my ideal date?
Your ideal date?
Yep.
Lounging around watching Star Trek with you, and then what's the next thing? Then romance.
Okay.
Star Trek romance. No.
Not necessarily Star Trek. I mean, I just like good action flicks.
You.
I like action flicks.
Yeah, you
but
definitely
more
do.
importantly, I love being with you.
Yes, I know you do.
Yeah, what's crazy is you mentioned Star Trek, and over half the audience is not even familiar with Star Trek. So thanks for dating me, babe. That's all right, though. No, dating me in the early days, too. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, kind of fun. No, you're right, kind of ending with romance. But I still, to this day, I think one of the ways that here's what's ideal for me, just being with you. Obviously, if it ends in romance, awesome. But to me, just knowing that just being with you, I still enjoy that so much. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I love you because you have been so patient with me learning your love languages. So thank you. What now I need to say, what's your ideal date? It's probably going to a Broadway show, isn't it? Or going to the Orpheum or
Yes, live.
Yeah, yeah. Because you enjoy watching me read those programs, is that
Because
it?
you wear those little reading glasses and you look so cute in them when you're looking at the program.
But you do. You love musicals and dramas.
Totally love it. I love walking in beautiful places like the sunken gardens.
Yeah, yeah. What we did something this summer that was kind of fun, and I would recommend it for anyone who lives in Lincoln. It's an outdoor theater. It's over at Pioneer Park. What's that? The Bowl, something.
The
Pioneer Bowl.
No.
Maybe? No.
Pinewood Derby Bowl.
No, it's not Pinewood Derby.
Bowl.
It's Pine. Anyway, it's in Pioneer Park.
It's super cool.
And I think every summer they have
Do a
some
show.
kind of big show,
Yeah.
and that was a lot of fun.
That was super fun.
And that was a big deal because
I
you
loved
enjoyed
it.
that. That was ideal date for you.
It was great.
So good. Hey, babe, what are some we're going to close this thing up, but what are some non-negotiables for us? You know, what are some things you think, maybe we don't even have them written down, but they've become a part of our DNA for stuff that we're going to try not to compromise on. We may not be perfect, but we'll try to always practice or not practice in our household.
The longer we've been married, I've learned, non-negotiable socks next to the hamper. I could care less. That's so puny. It doesn't matter. How we talk about each other in public, how we speak to each other, how respectful we are in our speech to each other. That's ginormous. That's huge. And I'm not saying we aren't honest about things. When we talk to each other, we are, but I will never tear you down in front of anybody, and you would never do it to me either. I have to be careful because sometimes you have funny idiosyncrasies, and I like to make fun of them in public. And then I've kind of learned over the years that that's not like, it's funny to me, and then it's just not so funny to him. So
well, sometimes I guess it depends on where my male ego's at, probably.
Right, but it's not nice. So I don't need to do it. But I've learned not to, it's basically making you the butt of a joke is not a nice thing to do.
No, it's not. It's not good at all. And I've learned to not liken you necessarily to family through your past, right? It's a non-negotiable. We love our family, but we just don't go there. That was fast.
Next.
No. I have something else I want to say. Here's a non-negotiable for me. And guys, I think this is something that I don't know that I quite got this right away. And it sounds like really a no-brainer, but it took me a while to really catch on to this. My wife doesn't want to be treated like one of the guys. So where that gets fleshed out.
Dude!
Kabam on the arm. No, where that really gets fleshed out is generally in communication and joking. You're a lady, and you don't want to be treated, like one of the guys. And sometimes the crude humor or the guys talking about bodily functions. I mean, that's just like a no-go. I don't go. That's a no trespassing place that in our life, in our relationship. At least I try not to. Sometimes I think I cross the line. But you are a lady, and I want you to feel like you're the most appreciated woman on this planet.
I appreciate that.
So cool.
I love that.
Very good. Are there any other things do you think are non-negotiables for us? I mean, there are, but there's things like we have our date night. We try to be really good about that. We'll sometimes move it around, but we try to be really good about that.
Yeah, we just, for us, it's different for everybody. Some people, they get FaceTime pretty regularly, and they don't have to have like the scheduled, but for us, we need it, and it's helpful for us.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
The one thing I've been doing this week that has helped me is, and this is something I've learned in our relationship, I have to save energy up for when I get home. Because if I'm not careful, I will exhaust all that I have in my energy tank, my love tank or whatever, at church or loving other people or helping other people.
Yes.
And when I get home, I got nothing left to give. So I have to say throughout my day, no, just kind of hold back a reserve. Maybe schedule my day differently so that when I get home, I'm going to have something left to give. And when I get home, I try to give you my first energy, my first love, my first priority.
Yeah.
And that's really been good, I think, in our relationship.
Yeah, that's been great.
Now, this week we're going to be talking about the vow of purity and how that actually comes into play, not just for single people, but for married folks and married
Yep.
people. And I'm excited about that. Pastor Terry's going to bring it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's going to be
I
good.
love when Pastor Terry speaks
I
too.
know. Fantastic. So thanks, babe, for taking this time.
You bet.
Thanks for watching. We love you guys.